moon.
Hello there, and welcome to That's No Moon, a Star Wars Legion podcast, the world's 2025 preview. I'm Cockles, your host, and today we have two of the regulars and a guest. First off, I shall introduce this guest by his usual theme. He loves it. Bluey Terrell, how are we?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How are you?
I'm carrying on as normal. That's how I'm all right. I'm fine. I'm fine. Thank you very much. I'm fine. How has your world's practice been?
Up and down, up and down. I mean, obviously.
Are there more ups or are there more downs?
I'd say my current win percentage is about 64%.
So just under 2/3.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Not as high as I'd want.
No. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. I suppose the next one I should introduce, because I don't know if he'll get to use this theme tune in 2 weeks' time. We obviously hope he will, but who knows? Here he is. It's the current world champion of Star Wars Legion, who is muted just in case he forgets to unmute himself before he talks.
I already unmuted, mate. You stop it. Hello.
Just checking.
All right. You've checked. It's done. All right, move on.
It's all good. Are you well?
Yeah, great. Doing stupendously.
What about your world's practices? Are we talking more ups and downs, or better than 2/3 win?
I think my win percentage is about 90% at the moment. So I'm reasonably happy on that front.
It's fine. I dragged that down. I dragged it down.
So you made it from 95 to 90.
So, yes. To be fair, mate, it was your weighted dice that dragged me down right to the bottom of the sea. That was awful.
Are we talking the Reverend Porritt kind of weighted dice, or are we talking Chris Smith weighted dice?
They put both of them to shame.
Oh my god!
Honestly, it was something. I'm pretty sure Grievous took something like 40 hits and took about 4 wounds, and I was like, yes, the D10 defense dice, the classic.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I was just kind of sat there going, guess I lose. I was like, oh, no worries, guess I lose. It is one of them. So yeah, so I think other than like super swingy dice, the games have all been going well. The list is doing what I want it to, and I've got a final practice this weekend, just to iron out any last kinks. Whereas Andy will never be able to iron out his kink of eating dogs. But you know.
Giggity.
So moving on to our guest. Our guest is basically our guest now. As we know, I like to think of some introduction songs and all this sorts of stuff. And I thought, well, this guy is known as Endless on Discord. So I thought there seems to only be one to use. So I thought I'd go with this.
Oh, yes, you will always be my endless love.
I thought that was quite nice. Bit of who doesn't like a bit of endless love there. But yeah, David Zelenka, also known as Endless on the Discord. Welcome to the show. I forgot to warn you. You're muted, didn't I? I mean, that's just the way it is. He's still muted, but it's all good.
Good morning, Vietnam.
Good morning, Vietnam. How are you?
I'm all right. That was a great theme song. Thank you for that introduction. Yeah, I do appreciate a good little bit of R&B sometimes.
Yeah, as Ollie has said in our little chat, it's a rare treat for me being nice. To be fair, I think I'm quite nice most of the time. But welcome to the show. For those people who are unaware of who you might be in the Legion world, please explain what you do, how you play, and all this sorts of stuff. And why might you be on the show today?
Well, I am going to be heading up the streaming of the Adepticon 2025 World Championships in partnership with your show, That's No Moon. And we're going to work together on this. And Ollie and Andy are going to be there. And I'm sad that Coggles, you're not. But I know it's a heartbreak. We're streaming the whole thing. We're going to be doing 4 days worth of streaming starting at 9 a.m. Central Time here in the U.S. We're going to do a giveaway over the course of the whole show. We're going to add a bunch of prizes to that. It's going to be really fun. We're also interviewing Will Schick on Saturday morning after the Adepticon reveal panel the night before.
No, well, he's disappeared. Don't know why he's happened to him then. It's obviously died, but we carry on. We'll soldier on through for a minute.
Okay, no problem. So, so we're gonna be streaming all of that, and we are really excited. This will be kind of a debut for our new brand. We used to be called the Avon Base. We're now called Winter Moon Wargaming. It's a new kind of direction for the channel, for what we're doing with streaming. We've got a team of people working. We have our own podcast now that's publishing weekly. We've got a blog on Substack with detailed articles, and some of them are paid guides as well. So if you're interested in investing a little bit of money and improving your Legion game, you can head over there and read 5,000 words on why you should play Dooku, for example.
Some people won't need convincing because one person out of the three of us who is already the expert.
Well, maybe I need to read it to up that win percentage.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that you'll read to really get those last little bits out there. If you're already someone who's really invested in the game, this could be a way to step up to the next level, I think. So Winter Moon it's going to be great. It's the word chuffed. Is that the word I'm supposed to use?
You're allowed to go with that.
Yeah, I'm just really chuffed that we're partnering together, and that it's going to be an international cast, and that everyone's going to be, we're going to have a great time all weekend, and we're going to crown maybe a new world champion. I don't know if we're going to crown a new one, but we'll see what happens with the title, of course. And of course, we'll get to see what happens with the new core boxes.
Yes, we will. And I was waiting for Ollie to do when you said maybe I'll have a new champion, and waiting for Ollie to quote Yoda and go, "Not to say about it anything I have," or something like that, and see what he said, but he didn't quite have the chance.
I think my Wi-Fi just disconnected.
So
It was a shame that you weren't able to be there last year.
Are you on a delay in a conversation?
Me?
Maybe
Sounds
he
like
is.
it.
Yeah, maybe he is.
I might just change Wi-Fi's because it's
Definitely.
it's going a bit haywire, to be honest.
Okay, no worries. You do you. What we do, Karen. Anyway, yes, it was. No, it was a shame you weren't there last year. But obviously, it was obviously quite having Zane and Bushman stand instead was good of them to do that and all that sort of stuff. So it was good fun.
Zane's still going to be there this year, right?
Oh,
Yeah, Zane will be there.
Yes.
He's going to be my second in command, so to speak, of the streaming area, and we'll be organizing all that together. Sorry, somehow I'm bankrupt of words. I really hope that I get to have some British chocolate again, because that was a real treat in 2023. I think Dave Grant came by and brought me some. I forget what it was called.
If you want some, we'll bring some. I'll bring you a selection of chocolates.
That would be amazing.
I brought some last year and was giving it away for to Zane and Bushman. They loved it and stuff, so it's good. Yes, Andy, I'll delegate that for you now.
Yeah, that's cool. And I'll bring some British biscuits.
Awesome.
A hobnob?
No, it's got to be a custard cream or a bourbon.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, they're the best, man. You can't beat a bourbon.
I do love the idea of a British biscuit being called a bourbon, named after a French royal house dynasty, but that's for anyway.
Typical.
Anyway, so moving on then. So first and foremost, thank you to our patron supporters who enable us to do what we need to do and be able to put the podcast out there and all this sorts of stuff. So thank you very much. At the end of today's show, or if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see a list of you on there saying thank you and all this sorts of stuff, and you should see it on there on the other one. So what we're going to do is double drop last week's show and this week's at one, so you can go straight on and listen to it, so you can have your content all there. And I hope to do that this evening. If not, it'll be out there at very least tomorrow, which will be the Wednesday. First things first. What is Worlds? So fully aware there might be some people who are sitting there going, I ain't got a clue, because they're not clued into the miniature gaming world as we are for various reasons. So I'll throw this question over to Andy and say, what is Worlds? And what is Adepticon, I should say, as well. Just go with that as well.
So Adepticon is, I believe, the US's largest miniature gaming convention. I think
it's the world's largest, isn't it?
Probably miniatures, yeah. And
Yeah,
so board games is Essen Spiel, so imagine miniatures is probably Adepticon.
Because I think if you just give it the larger bracket of, it's the largest wargaming
that's the better
convention in the world. Although I think there are larger tournaments for individual games, but nothing as big as the conglomerate that is.
Yeah, but I mean, if you like, obviously Legion's probably one of the smallest out of.
I don't think so. We were bigger than 40k last year. This year is no, that's not happening. I think
it was like 240.
Like weirdly, I think BattleTech's probably going to take over at some point. I know is Halo.
I believe so.
Yeah, I think Halo Flashpoint would have a presence there. Yeah.
Like you got a Song of Ice and Fire.
Although I feel like a Song of Ice and Fire has just crashed in the last few years. I remember it being,
but that's a different question. But, like, there's every game that, like, there's a lot of stuff there that's even for games that aren't being published anymore. Like, is it Warmer Hordes? Like the thing that was for FFGs before
Armada.
Legion and stuff.
I was about to say X-Wing and Armada.
X-Wing and Armada. So there's a lot of community stuff there, as well as obviously like the mainstream games of Warhammer, Age of Sigmar, and obviously Star Wars Legion. But for us, obviously, the World Championship is kind of the end of the season, and I think AMG also refer to it as the season. And this year they've gone for the approach of it's welcome to all. I feel like they didn't like the idea of it being invite only. It kind of excluded people, and AMG like to make everything very inclusive. So this year it's anyone can go and buy a ticket. You don't need to have gone to a store. It could be literally like your third or fourth game of Legion, and you can still turn up and play in the World Championship. And I think they strongly encourage it, which, yes, I would, for the experience, encourage it as well. I think it's a good thing to experience, and you'll meet the amazing community that is. But the people like us, myself and Ollie, will be going for like the competitive side. So
I would encourage all newer players to just come and jump in a side event. If you're a new player, I wouldn't encourage you to jump into the World Championships at all. Because it's going to be a feel bad experience. The whole thing of Worlds is it's not meant to be an all comers event. It's meant to be a battle for the top position in the world. But Hank at Adepticon puts on so many good side events alongside the World Championships that you should absolutely come along to Adepticon, even if you don't want to play in the big shark pool that's going to be there.
I've got the email that was sent out today. So they've got a skirmish event.
A skirmish is to have fun. Oh, sorry. I can't.
They've got vomit rising your throat as you hear.
Honestly, I've not played any games for that word for years.
Although I do prefer the next one, which is Special Ops. I don't mind that. I mean, it's like
isn't that like Legion Shatterpoint?
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I don't mind it. They've then got Doubles, which is that being run by Stabcast?
Or is that Brandon or Ryan Swarovski doing that?
Yeah, it's usually them involved.
I feel like I read somewhere that Brendan's doing something else this year.
Okay.
I'm sure he said that. I'm sure I saw him post in the Adepticon chat saying that he was going to be doing some other event. Maybe it was Shatterpoint.
Could be. But I know Chris Reese had a good time playing in doubles last year. Like it's a very like fun kind of style, and a good laugh. And the rules are are a bit different. They're not just the usual missions. They kind of throw random stuff into it, and very narrative-ish kind of driven. And they've been supposed to be like the third year at Adepticon, maybe third or fourth year of it.
Yeah.
And I've only heard positive things. I've never heard a bad thing about the doubles event.
And this year they're letting us mix factions, so it's not like you have to have two armies on the same side.
Oh, really?
You could have a rebel and an empire army. Yeah, they're changing that up, is what I've heard.
Oh, spicy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you can find the most broken combos, if you will. I'll I don't know if I should spoil what my friends cooked up.
Go for it.
Screw it. I already went for it. Okay, so check this out. Okay, Wookiee Battle Force.
Yeah.
Okay. Plus, so you take Yoda in the Wookiee Battle Force. All your core are special forces, right?
Yeah.
So pair that with Iden, Tactical Strike.
With
So Yoda plays Luminous Beings. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Luminous Beings Tac Strike. So literally everything that has a special forces token has steady tactical. You know. Yeah, exactly. So that's just one of many things that I'm sure people are dreaming up as we get closer and closer to the event.
I thought you
isn't it?
and I thought you were going to say something along the lines of pull the strings and some sort of continuous move shoot shenanigans that could happen. That I don't know yet. I don't know.
That's not a thing anymore, is it?
No,
Pull the strings does.
Pull the strings
because you can.
Well, it gives you a free attack, but not the outside activation.
Yeah, you can't use the Yoda 2-pip malarkey if that's what you're trying to go with, Cockles.
Yeah.
I wondered, but I don't know. I was thinking there probably is something weird in there, but we'll figure it out anyway. Anyway, so there's a doubles event. Anything else?
Yeah, double events, and then that leaves Legion Dangerous Environments. I haven't actually read the rules pack on that. I think it's kind of like a similar, like a weird side event thing, like the Pablo's Wild Ride and unnatural resources.
Do you remember the old madness that you could just take either all vehicles or all heroes?
Oh,
yeah, Unconventional Warfare.
That's it. Yeah.
Those are amazing. Running triple airspeeder was the absolute time of my life.
And then obviously they've got Heats 1 for World Championships and Heat 2, which then goes into the top 32 from both heats, qualify for Saturday's top 64, and then the top 64 will whittle down to top 8 for Sunday.
So, which leads on to this. So, obviously, we are streaming with Dave and Zane, and so which of you is doing Heat Thursday?
I'm in Heat 1 along with Dave, Grant, and Kev.
Lovely
from the UK.
So, Ollie, by you obviously
so
playing.
It's me and DJ Jazzy, BDE Jeff,
the Reverend, you and the Reverend in day 2.
In reverse days, that means Ollie will be on with David on Thursday, and then I'm with him on Friday.
With Zane,
and
Zane
Ollie's with
well,
David on Saturday, and I'll be playing in the top 64.
Oh, shots fired!
Oh no! Okay.
Shots fired.
We'll come on to that kind of bit in a section bit. So, how many games are there in the heats, please, gentlemen?
4 each day.
4 each day. So that is technically, and then if you make top 8, that's 3 games, isn't it? Yeah.
Then there's 3 on Saturday.
Yeah. So
and then 3
technically, if you go all the way to the final, you are looking at 4, 8, 11 games. So 4 in the first, 4 in your heat, 4 on the Saturday.
No, it's 4-3-3, so it'd be
4-3-3. Yeah, it's 10.
Oh, I thought you said 4 on each. You just said 4 on each day.
In the heats.
Oh, 4 on each day. Sorry.
But then 64 is 8 undefeated players after 3 rounds.
Yep. That makes sense. Cool. So, who would like to...
last year?
Yes. Now,
we're at less than half of the players of last year, though.
Which segues on. So, what was the positive? We've covered it briefly, but briefly, what was the positives of last year, What do you think is the impact of that? This is going to be the impact, and what changes this year? So,
So I think the positives of last year was
other
that
than
it was
you winning,
no. I wasn't even going to say that. The positives of last year was that it was an invited event where you could win the chance to go at store level. In addition to there being flights and hotels to encourage the Europeans to make more of an attendance, which made it an actual last Worlds was the first time it felt like a full on World Championships. We had we had Polish, German, Spanish, French. I think there was Swiss
Italian
as well, Italian. Europe turned up hard. This year, AMG have given zero encouragement at store level to get people out to Adepticon. And so I think that this year, I'm looking at the figures at the moment. I honestly think there's about 6 Europeans, and then it'll be about 114, 115 Americans.
I think it's not just the encouragement. It's sometimes it can be the awareness. Like you've obviously got maybe a very small niche little store. They go, oh, store kit. I'll order that and I can run an event for it. And then they open the event and they go, oh, this has got an invite for Worlds. And they run the event and they give it to the winner and go, here you go, you've got an invite to Worlds. And that just starts that ball and conversation of going, what does that mean? And you go, well, there's a World Championships. You've got an invite to it. And then obviously you can start finding out how to get there.
I also think that the new edition is going to be an interesting challenge for most of the new players that are going to be sort of like swinging over to the event, because I personally think it could have been handled better at release, and we could have got more stuff attached to it. But all in all, it's still going to be a great event. People should still come along to it. We're still going to be there doing a big karaoke social on the Saturday night. So there's pros and cons to all of Adepticon at the moment, I think.
what's the perception going on in the States? So obviously, this is a very Eurocentric view at the moment for what we just said there. But what's the perception in the States?
Well, I think I think that Ollie has some good points here when it comes to turnout being depressed a little bit. Like, obviously the edition change, this whole idea of the changeover is kind of depressing turnout a little bit. And then like we saw parallel, to the World Championships, right? You had LVO earlier in the year with an invite tournament, and that had a little more pull, I think, this LVO Invitational Series that happened. And so I do think like the prestige of like winning an invite, coming to the event, and then of course the encouragement from this idea of like you could win a flight, right, if you win like a big tournament. I think those are all valid points. I think that AMG they kind of bobbled the ball a little bit, and that's not their fault. They're trying to relaunch a huge project line or huge product line in terms of like these new re-releases that are happening. And so, maybe they had to focus their resources not on OP. And when I interview Will, I'm hoping that I can ask questions about OP and, their intention to like, if their intent is to like have a robust officially supported program. That's really what I want to ask him about, because this sort of like flat system, like the numbers for 1 year may not like tell the whole story, but the look isn't great.
No, it's so the removal of the flights and hotel, I know for a fact, is the reason for a lot of the sort of the top flight European players not going. Because what usually happens is one of your friends wins a flight and hotel. They then encourage the rest of their play group to come along with them. They get practiced. They get excited. It's hard to get excited about a 9 to 10 hour flight to go and play in an open tournament. Like it doesn't have the same like to me it doesn't feel like if you it just feels like any other GT.
So I think with what they've announced so far for next season,
So
where
there's
they
the
are
buys.
Yes, so GTs are now going to give you a buy, and that adds in a competitive element again and a drive to go. I think the biggest issues, I mean, the flights and accommodation, yes, it has a benefit, but I completely understand why they drop it.
I can understand dropping the flights and the hotels, but
Yeah.
it would be it would be a good show of faith to say, right, winners of the GTs get their hotel and a buy.
I still like if you
You
look at the
still
cost of
shave.
what that costs.
Yeah, but it's going to be four to £500 less per person who's won a GT. And if you're running 100, GTs, my maths is god awful. But let's say you're running 100 GTs and you're saving an average £450 per person. That's still a £45,000 saving, like sterling. But you're still getting
You're still
players out there.
spending. Yeah, but the hotel costs more than the flight.
I don't think not if you book it far enough in advance. You don't have to book the Ritz.
Yeah, but
But
they
you
do.
book,
They
but
they
but
they have to,
but
for convenience wise, they have to book the hotel that's right next to the venue because it's like they don't book you in a holiday like the cheapest place possible. Like,
but dropping all of that competitiveness in one fell swoop has done nothing but drive numbers down for the game. Like you look at our GTs in the UK. Other than yours, obviously, because
I think that's not.
yours always does well. But
I think that's not just the part of it, though. I think if you look at previous years when FFG were in charge and you had the different, like you'd go to one GT and you'd get the Cassian promo cards. You'd go to the next GT and they'd have the Jin cards. Like there's a drive to go to multiple. Like there was a reason to go to it, excluding the invites. There was just a reason to go to them. Where this year is like I went to one GT and it's like, well, that's it. I don't need to go to the others unless I want to chase the sidebar and come second or first. You go to one GT and they gave you all the dice, they gave you all the promos. It didn't matter where you finished.
yeah, I'm really hoping that they bring back something to fight for at these events. Because that's to me as a player. Now, I'm not saying that everybody's like me because they're not, because I despise fun and just want to win. But like from my end, like knowing that there's something there that you kind of fighting towards.
Well, I should buy.
All right, yeah, but once you've won one buy, why should I go to another GT?
For the accolade,
Prestige.
prestige
and accolade.
Right. You see, it's tough to like come up with a secondary reason, right?
Okay, so I'll re-ask that then. So you won your flight and accommodation at MKGT, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you still went to LGT and played in it. What was the reason for you going to that?
I didn't go to LGT and play in it. I went to LGT and played a Song of Ice and Fire because I'd already won my flights in hotel, and I didn't want to, regardless of position, I didn't want to stop anybody's chance of winning a buy. Sorry, of winning flights and hotel.
Did you not go to another GT though?
Nope. As soon as I'd won MKGT, I just went to smaller scale events. But one of the reasons for me to attend said GTs would be to practice for Worlds because AMG have staked me to go out there. So in my mind, I need to make the absolute most out of that opportunity that I can. Is my encouragement to go and play other games. And that's because there are invites on the line. You're going to be getting loads and loads of solid games. And you know that there's not really going to be a feel bad for any players that are going to be within the event. Specifically at skill level. Imagine I go up against somebody in round one and it's their first tournament, it's their first game of Legion, it's World. So I'm not going to take it easy. I'm going to go as full on as I possibly can. And generally speaking, from what.
But you could then have the scenario where Nav goes to Wales, wins a Worlds invite, and then goes out and you end up playing him round one, and you could just stomp him just as bad, because he won his invite the easiest way possible.
But he still earned a place. It's not like it's his first event and he's rocked up to Adepticon because his friends have told him, come down to Worlds, it's going to be loads of fun, and you play in and you get matched against like me or Luke Cook or Austin or Jeff. Or like Dave round one, it's gonna feel awful.
There were people who won events that were smaller than 16 players until they brought that in, and did that same scenario you're talking about, where they'd won a 6-man event and went to Worlds.
True, but you'd still won a 6-man event. That's still 3 wins at a tournament level and you've
No.
and you've
There's no way that a 6-man event is the same tournament level as a 16-man.
I'm not saying that it is. What the point that I'm making is that to attend Worlds, there had to have been proof that
A
you
qualifier.
that you had played and won games, regardless of who that was against.
Unless your name's
Effectively a
Ellis.
qualifier.
Well, yeah, I mean Ellis, 80 Arsenal cooties. Not sure how he managed to win anything, to be honest.
He didn't. He went out.
I'm surprised he can even spell his own name, but here we are. Yeah, if you listen, Ellis, I mean it.
Yeah.
But no, so I know we're going off on some mad tangent, but I think to attend the World Championships, there needs to be a level of proof that you are competent to play the game.
Right. Final sort of question on this subject-wise that I have for you in this particular thing. If Worlds was not in America and it was in, say, Germany, France, England, Spain, wherever, if it was in Europe, I'm just hypothetical. Do you think that mean that you'd have the role reversal of 100 Europeans, 12 North Americans?
Most certainly.
My argument would also be exactly the same, though. I wouldn't want people from if the World Championships was in England, and I would still want there to be a level of competency. Like you look at Magic the Gathering commander tournaments.
Pass.
That they do.
No idea.
So each deck has a skill rating. And so you enter a tournament knowing what skill rating is, and you kind of match up against. You can't really do that in the same kind of war gaming terms. Like somebody who's their first game isn't going to beat Dave Grant unless he's hungover and he's given up.
Even then, I'm sure.
So round 3, maybe you could beat him.
Okay.
But again, it's a tangent. So still, I encourage everybody to come out and play. I think if you're newer to the game, you shouldn't be entering the World Championships.
So, with that said, what are you looking forward to this year?
Karaoke. Woo!
I thought you said you hated fun.
Right. Whoa. I hate fun in war games.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll tell you what, mate. I'd kill for Jaeger. I will be buying a 1.5 litre bottle the moment I step foot in that airport. Absolutely raring to go. So for me, my big things are the big karaoke night out, which myself and Austin will be hosting, which is in Milwaukee. My prank against Austin this year is delicious. I'm sure I've heard that his is a little bit spicy as well, so I'll be interested to see what he throws at me. But just stuff like that. I think we've built such hefty relationships with you guys over in the States now that it's just always fun to see you.
Yeah, and that's one of the biggest things I look forward to. Obviously, is getting a sense of the camaraderie and the just the whole attitude over there in Europe about the game, and remembering that this is a worldwide game and it's truly international, and the United States is not the center of the universe, as much as people in my country would like to believe that.
I think we get described as the drunk auntie of lists to you guys, which is always interesting.
Yeah, for me, it's like there's just different ways of thinking about the game, and no one really knows. It's so early right now. No one really knows what's locked in, and it's so variable. And I mean, I wanted to go back a little bit to something we said earlier, which was, it's you can win a 6-man event, you can win a 30-man event or person event, excuse me. But those are going to be slightly different levels of competition. And it also no one has a clue, as to what is truly the best right now, because there are so many variables in any given scenario. Now, that said, there's enough of a skill component of the game where people who are skillful at the game place high consistently. So that's indicative to me that it is not random. There is obviously some level of skill involved. Putting your miniatures in the right spot, cohering them correctly, moving them at the appropriate times. That's all the skill factor.
Yeah.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is that there is no right way, at least not yet. There's no condition that exists in the game where it's like, well, if you're not playing X list with X battle cards, you're just flat wrong. Like, objectively.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I think there's some very small outlier units that
Sure.
potentially fall under that bracket, unfortunately, where if you're playing them, you're wrong. But it's not because they're must takes; it's because you shouldn't be taking them. And I think
Right.
Or there's something that is more efficient at what they do than what they do. Does that make sense?
it's not.
Right, that's fair.
I don't even think it comes down to efficiency. I think it's just some of the units they've either just not been updated yet, or they're just miles off the mark. And
Yeah, that makes sense.
Obviously, both the Wills talked about Riot Troopers being off the mark, and it is one of the units I always think of. Like, would you ever bring it? No. Would I encourage anyone to bring it unless you've painted it because it looks amazing? No. And then I think there's like a few things that fall under that. I'd guess like another one that comes to mind would be like the Gav tank for Empire.
Sunfac.
Sunfac. Poggle.
I feel differently about Poggle than maybe you do. I think Courage 3 is a good thing.
I think
that's my feel. That's my theory. Yeah,
but that's what he brings. Like that's the best.
He compels Geonosians and he overrides stuff, but that's mostly it. Yeah,
but that's such a contradiction, then, isn't it? Like you can compel the Geonosians, but then you can override droids. So what is your list consisting of? Like you've got to have the mixture, but then
you have to have a mixture of biological and droid units. Yeah,
which doesn't then coherently care about the Courage 3 because if you've taken droids, you care less about suppression anyway, and then you can't use the compel because you're droids because you don't suffer from suppression. So there's like a lack of
So you compel the Geonosians specifically, and then you override droidicas on the flank, or you override or you override B2s on the flank. Generally,
I think the issue it's just if he had Exemplar, he just doesn't do any. It doesn't.
I kind of agree with that too. He doesn't quite. His activation sucks.
Yeah,
like that's his problem. His passive ability is amazing. His activation is crap.
Yeah, completely. And you spend was he 110?
He's cheaper. He's like 80 now.
Oh yeah, so
he got a lot cheaper, but it's still pretty bad. You'd rather take a super tactical droid.
Yes, yeah,
100%.
Who does have Exemplar?
Who does have Exemplar? Who does have Direct? Who does have
Override? Yeah,
right.
Still better than Padme is what I'm going to say. It's still better than Padme.
Oh, I don't know because
current iteration of Padme anyway.
I was speaking to Olly was telling me about it, but he was speaking to one of our state followers. I'm not too sure if he's keeping the list secret or not, but there was a bit of secret sauce going on with Padme and R2. So
it's double secret
mission. Yeah. It could make a comeback. Getting 1 or 2 points ahead could make all the difference. Like all the games that I've played of Legion 2.6, if you're behind by 2, you are in trouble. Like you are in hot water if you're behind by 2. If you're behind by 1, you can claw it back. But if you're behind by 2, oh man, like you are in hot water. Yeah.
Fully agree on that one. So, what are we expecting then to see this year at Worlds? So, let's go. So, by that, I mean, is there 1, 2, or 3 types of list that are going to be the key players in the same way that, in the same way that 501st might have been in previous tournaments, or experimental droids were last year, or I don't know, Rexstar many years ago. So, what's going to be the most seen type of list? And so, one each if you have one. Ollie, seeing as you put your hand up, go on then. What you got?
I think EXD still really popular. Double snail tank EXD.
So all right. So arguments for and then arguments against.
Go on then, Andy. Fight me.
I think what's going to be more important than more prevalent than EXD is going to be Rebel sleeper cells. And I think there'll be more rebels turn up, and they're going to be running triple or double sleeper cell with Bad Batch. Yeah.
Well, hang on, it was everybody gets a turn to say what list you think there's going to be a lot of, and then you've just disagreed with me and put another one in.
Well,
Yeah.
I wasn't kind of where I was going, but fine.
Oh.
Well, Andy's just
Right,
stolen
right.
the mic. Then go on in, Andy. Just finish off what you're saying, then go
No,
back
it's just
to Ollie.
like I'm just
Cheeky
disagreeing
bugger.
with, like I'm saying that's my one versus Ollie's. I don't know. I thought David might pip in with his like what he
Oh,
thinks
I
is
see.
the
You were
most
trying to
popular.
make a conversation flow like that. Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Just-
Conversations.
just-
What is this, a podcast?
Disgusting. I'm not here to talk. I'm here just to fight people.
The Northerners coming out.
Right, come on then.
Okay, so Ollie, you're the double snails EXD. Andy, you're triple sleepers Bad Batch. David, is there anything you think might be the mainstay?
So the two things that I think are very prominent are going to be Dooku Aquas, whether that's with triple Droidica or double Ion Spider, or it's going to be some kind of high activation clone list running Bad Batch, running Rex maybe for scouting party, and just like a Bad Batch Alpha style list. And then of course Rebel Bad Batch is going to be crazy. Like
Okay,
it's still crazy.
right. So in that
Omega needs a points increase.
with
Really?
Being able to contest at range 1 is like absurdly good. Like you cannot force push them off a point. You cannot, it's wild. The stuff you can pull off being able to contest points at range 1 with Omega.
So with those being said, Ollie, tell me why double snails EXD, why you might see it, and what makes it good. So now we'll do the same questions to the other two of you.
For some reason, Atomic Mass Games looked at the top 8 of Worlds last year and decided that droids needed a boost, and so removed AI from droids, which is absolutely mental. Which I don't understand. I hate it. I'm confused by their choices. But here we are. We are in this game. The snail tank got a massive buff out of absolutely nowhere.
Can you be specific? Just what was that buff? Just for noobs? For noobs who might
it gained like critical and impact and
Impact 1, critical 1 on the main cannon.
Cool.
The base chassis got lowered. The points got dropped. Yeah.
Arsenal 3 instead of
Arsenal 3. Yep.
Yeah.
And coordinate. It had coordinate droid trooper anyway, but it just is paying less for those abilities.
And it just EXD didn't need a boost.
I lost of it, so I think it did.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure Luke Cook would agree. He lost of it, and he'd agree it needs a boost.
I honestly, I don't think he would, because that man's got brains, unlike you, Andy. But no, so double snail is great. The commandos aren't the powerhouse that they used to be, but droids got access to super squad red saved B2s. Mental. They gained exemplar on commanders. Mental. Deckers are ridiculously good for their points cost. So again, I think Deckers are going to go up in points, and the fact that you can still be sat at, I think double snail is usually curves out about 10, 11x?
Yeah,
11.
Yeah, I think it's around there. So I think it's something like double snail, triple decker, like double B1, Kalani, double BX. I think is probably the best format of it that I'm aware of. That's not to say it's the best one out there in total, but yeah, I think that list is absolutely solid.
You were missing the B2s with repair droids and the regular T series.
I don't think you can fit them now. It's what Kalani, double tank, triple decker, double BXs, and then three B1s. That takes you to 11, and B1s would have repair bots or heavies.
The versions that I've seen are double portable scanner, so you can continue feeding dodges to the exemplars.
Ugh.
And then you have double vibro sword BXs, or you have double B2s. It's wild, the stuff you can pull off. It's nasty.
Yeah.
I lost to it in practice. It's not fun. It's and by not fun I mean it's just it's tough to fight against. Like that's the best way I can put it.
I feel like EXD should have had their surges reduced down to 2 if they were going to give all of the boosts that they have given.
You mean for the special rules?
Yeah, so reduce the amount of surges that you're able to perform actions with by 1, because at that point all you're doing is changing the print and play. You've not got to change all the cards. I think that would give them just slightly less maneuverability, which in the current edition would tone them down probably enough.
Well, they also decided to give the Super Attack 3-pip reinforcements. So now you can move your snails for free outside round 1 because you can reinforcements on a snail.
Yep.
So you can move onto the board with your snails, then reinforcements them to move again and shoot with the ion gun on the following round or the shell or whatever you want. But it's great. Like it's great as in it's powerful.
Yeah, it's daft is what it is. But again, I think that the meta has evolved that EXD won't be as prominent as it was last year. Like, EXD last year was just the choice.
I'll clue the audience in though. 6 ion snows is like a thing though. Well, not 6, maybe like 3. Those things eat snail tanks. Like it's pretty radical. The kind of damage I've seen them put on a snail.
Dave Grant's taken 5.
So. There you go. So he knows what's up.
Spoilers.
Because I think if you're looking at Empire, realistically, your best lists to run in Empire are the Dave list. It is the Vader Immortal style.
Yeah.
Triple Dewback.
Yeah, triple Dewback Vader and stuff.
Yeah. That stuff probably meta called to beat CIS.
Yeah,
because you're expecting CIS because I think what did I look at? Like Rebels and CIS have the highest win rates lately according to the Longshanks data. So if people are following the meta as it stands, and I use that term loosely because what is a meta right now? They're going to attack against Rebels. They're going to have high velocity, or they're going to attack against CIS with the ion. So that's the reason for XD. David, your choice was My choice was Dooku Aquas and Ion Spiders.
Okay. So why do you think that? What makes that good? And then you go from same.
So why would I take it over EXD, for example?
What makes that list good? Maybe and then
why is it good? Well, Dooku's an absolute powerhouse.
Correct.
And he's all the tricks. I can tell you like all the tricks I know with Dooku. So like this idea that like you could move Dooku onto a point, push somebody, choke somebody. If it's the 3-pip, you can lightning them off the point with the speed 2 move. So like you can reverse a POI by like 4 activations that way. If you're able to kill with the choke, which doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does. He has a cunning 1-pip that can subvert immune to pierce. Or he can always subvert immune to pierce, but the cunning 1-pip especially is crazy strong. The lightning got buffed. It has scatter and it has suppressive, so you can lightning something with the 1-pip for 4 suppression. And then, of course, he has Master of the Force, so you don't need to worry about recovering your Force powers ever. You always get choke. You always get push. And he surges to block in melee. So he is, and he directs himself because he has direct trooper. So he doesn't care about other command cards being played in his sequence. He can just order himself at any time. So he is absolutely savage. Like I feel like a 230 point Force user should be this good because I'm paying. It's a quarter of my list, right? So it should be this good. Other reasons, Aquas are really efficient. They line of sight block for Dooku. It's basically bring your own terrain. They're ground vehicles. They can't get force pushed. Decas are, of course, really cheap. 60 points each, 10 health. They have wheel mode to shift on objectives. They have shields that recharge. And then you try to get to 12 activations with a bunch of E5S spam, like the sniper droids. And I know people aren't hot on B1s like they used to be, but I found that it's really not that bad in my experience to have a B1 ball still.
How do you feel about poison?
That's very threatening to the guest.
Yeah. Specifically in the radiation cannon.
How do I feel about it? So B1s are not naturally a range 2 unit. I do think that if you expected a lot of rebels in your meta, poison might be a way to go, because it's very likely that you're going to get poison onto something. Poison gets better the weaker the enemy save is. It's like Pierce, but not quite. It's basically
Is
like
it-
+1. It's like +1 wound if you wound is kind of the text.
So,
I'm gonna. Oh, go on. I'm about to say. I'm about to. So I have. May I defer you to my learned colleague, Mr. Terrell, who might be able to offer you a bit of insight into what he's been practicing and trying out.
So for poison, obviously what you're saying, obviously it's the number of wounds +1 essentially,
Yeah,
which I found was actually better into better saves.
really.
Yeah, so on the logic of it's hard enough to put a wound through on clones as it is, so that then means you've put double the amount through. So with rebels, like if I put 4 hits into them, I expect 1 save. So that means it'll be 4 wounds, right? That's fine, but
Right.
I'm already pushing through and deleting 50% of that squad. But if you look at it on the other spectrum, where you're against red saves, you put 4 through and they're surging, you're only going to cause 1 wound on like statistics, which then means I've done 2. So I've actually doubled my damage output rather than like only increased it by 1 versus rebels. Like, so it's giving you that extra value for it, and then like especially if you can hit commandos. So absolutely hilarious. Oh well, I'll pop my armor to because I've fluffed on the save. Oh, that's fine. You take him 2 still.
Yeah, so against clone commandos, I can see that because it subverts Katarn armor.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then,
that's definitely true.
the other thing, like you said, obviously they're not naturally a range 2 unit.
Yeah,
Which completely agree. But if you're taking Grievous, something that you can catch people out with is the 2-pip. So then you can do your threat range is range 4. So if you've moved onto the board, your opponent's moved onto the board, and they've moved onto a POI, you can double move and catch them at range 2. And you
love
can do
that.
that. You can do that with 6 units. So
Right, because they're all ruthless and they're all in range of Grievous because Grievous isn't on the board yet. So you can ruthless every single one of them for the cost of a battle droid, which is pretty low.
yeah, or if you really wanted to, you can like take an extra battle droid for 4 points and just sacrifice it.
Use it as a move. Yeah,
Yeah,
so get better recon intel at that point.
Yeah, it's half the price.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, you can save it for turn 2 as well, and that means you also got a surge available for the unit to spend on that attack, because that's the biggest issue with the B1s and the poison is you need the surge for when the red rolls one, and it's very often.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I was actually going to ask if you had a surge generation engine in your list, because that really is why I choose the E5S, is because the E5S is basically an offensive surge.
Yep,
just built in, just baked in, and then you have range 4, on top of that, so you're able to affect other POI. And if you feel comfortable sitting around, and if you do have to move, it's like, okay, sure, I'm still effective at all ranges. Yeah.
I think that's the only downside to it, is obviously once you've committed to that POI with that range 2 unit, you're kind of, your influence is pretty much that POI, unless you're just going to chip some range 3 white dice.
Yeah.
Where if you've got the sniper, as you say, you can still aim, shoot, sit on a POI, and kind of influence the fight better. But yeah, I have found the poison gun where I would never have touched it in the last edition. But in this edition, because of cover and the way it works, it's more likely to go through to the saves and therefore do more damage.
Anything else you want to? I mean, you're alluding to. So we're not going to go deep dive on what you're running, maybe, but unless you want to.
I mean, Duke and Grievous, it's a great combo. Like David pointed out, all the reasons why I love Grievous, and I think a lot of what people look at when they see him on the table is if he pairs off against your opponent's force user, he always comes out on top because of Makeshi, and he defensively surges. But I find a lot of people then choose to ignore him because they're like, oh, it's a lot of effort. He's a reg surge and save. oh, I'm going to put 1 wound through. Oh, you've got that medic. Yeah. So you did 1 wound, and then I'm just going to medic it straight away.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Makes you feel good, doesn't it, Cockles?
Yeah.
And it's kind of led to me just literally putting Dooku in really open positions, and people still just don't see that as the threat. And they go, oh, well, I can shoot him, but then, well, there's Grievous running from behind, or what I have been doing with the Aquas is you get 1 chance to shoot Dooku. So, like, I'll double move him turn 1 onto the board, and then you get 1 shot. And if you do well, fine, you'll do 3 or 4 wounds. I can heal him off. But the thing that the next activation I'm doing is Aquas, and that wall's then just forming around him. So you can't, and then he's ready to pounce on the next turn.
So the experience I had when I played you that other one, the second game, was effectively it's a case of I've got Grievous running at me one side, I've got Dooku running at me on the other side, and I've got Droidekas just pummeling suppression into me, and then B1's just giving me poison, albeit the poison this time didn't really seem to take an effect because I don't know why, it just didn't do it. So, so the question is, in your mind, once you've deployed and once you're doing your thing, where Andy will put his stuff and you go, crap, I've got to deal with a running at me Grievous, stuff that's going to get to me quite quickly with the Ruthless, and Droidekas that will then go all of a sudden when Andy wants to, because the activation counts on his side, all of a sudden will just appear on a POI and go, shift me off, bitch. And, and you go, problems. So that's the experience I had.
Yeah. But no, Dooku's amazing, and I would not be surprised if I reckon there'd be one top 8 other than me.
Well, we'll come on to predictions like that later on. So you said sleeper cells, triple, double sleeper cells, rebels. Why that? And then after that, we'll go on to Ollie's list. So yeah, as in
because
his
AMG thought it was a great idea that a unit should fire 14 black dice with surgeon and
12.
12.
Yeah, they can't get 14 because one's the astromech, unless they take the
the marksman. Yeah, which no,
the marksman. Which, if you do, don't.
Sorry,
Yeah,
right.
just don't.
12 surgeon black dice with a free aim because I moved in shot, or if your opponent is silly enough to allow you to do it turn 1, then they get 2 rerolls because they get the scout to move shoot. So threat range is range 4 off the back of their deployment. Or Nick at the weekend, he put him in a bus with the speed 2 driver in him. Ryder Azadi, is it? I think that's what my head.
Yeah,
So,
Ryder's
yeah. So the bus comes on at speed 2. They get out forward of the bus, which generates an aim because that is disembark is a move which generates tactical. Then they can do a speed 2 move, the following activation, to generate that second aim still and fire the 12 dice. There was pretty much not much you can not hide. If you want to move on the board to get towards the POI, he was getting a shot. And he has order control to keep it to the last thing if he wants. And I think it's 12 acts he was running, which is just hilarious.
Always good fun with that one. So
yeah.
So is it just purely the weight of dice off the sleeper cells that's making that list pretty good, or is there anything else that might support that? I think theory of yours?
They're quite on the first turn. They're quite durable because they get usually if they're not attacking, they get a triple move to generate the 3 dodges due to the astromech. On the subsequent turns, they have a dodge and nimble, so they're really good at surviving multiple attacks.
Subsequent. What is that?
Yeah.
Who pronounces it like that?
Well, how else would you pronounce it?
It's subsequent.
It's subsequent. You melt.
Oh.
Oh God! Oh right, I'm going to have a subsequent series of events. Oh.
Ollie's private education is making him more likely to say stuff like that, Andy. You shouldn't be saying it.
I mean, I understand that you can count to 12 on 2 hands, but you shouldn't be throwing extras about.
It's on my toes.
I hadn't got that far down yet.
Do you separate the counting for the webbing or not?
Well, no,
The,
because
the webbing, the webbing is where he jots his notes.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's it.
He's got his date of birth and PIN number tattooed in the webbing just in case he forgets.
Oh no,
There's
and
a
then he's got his
number
wedding.
line, you know.
That's it, and his wedding anniversary on the other one.
That's number wang.
Anyway,
So
You were saying?
yeah, I mean, they can be survivable with defensive tech, which we've seen do well in the past with like the Yoda dodge spamming and stuff like that. So I think the rebels can do well with that, and the weight of dice on the offense gives them a nice glass cannon approach. They can deal with armor because of the way armor works now. They just throw enough dice at it. They don't need the impact. And then you've still got Bad Batch throwing an obscene amount of dice as well, which is what for rebels it's 10 dice. Or is it 11? And
I think it's
11.
11.
Yeah.
11 for
2
rebels,
plus
10
2
for
plus 2 plus 3. Yeah.
yeah. And they've got the same. They've got more aims because they've got steady. So yeah, I think rebels are in a very glass cannon approach to the game. If they can get there and delete units and delete things quicker than they're going, which is a really weird concept. I don't think that rebels have been like that before. Then they can win.
Okay. So with that all said previously, Ollie, with what you're choosing to run, which you can reveal shortly, does any of that scare you?
Not really, no.
Why? Tell us why.
So I've taken a bit of a turn in how the faction that I want to run plays the game now. I'm no longer trying to batter my opponents, which is what it used to be.
Well, it's the era of kind, Ollie.
No, that
He's
doesn't.
here for fun.
Fun, Ollie. Fun, Dyer.
I don't know when that's like a really bad gag reflex for hearing people have a gag reflex. So I imagine all the listeners at home going, just set off several hundred people going,
We have
I'll
that many listeners.
isolate that audio and let them choose to have that as a message tone for them.
just have that as your ringtone.
Anyway,
I'll just
come on.
clip that out, put it on a soundboard later.
Done. Perfect. Thank you.
It's like those old keyboards in school.
So like when someone takes 5 wounds, you just
Can you make sure you put like Zane's Noise Doise on there as well?
Yeah,
Nice.
I need to get that.
Nice dice.
That's your two opponents, one end of the spectrum to the other.
No, so what I have built is what I think is the most maneuverable list in the game.
Oh, tell us more.
So it's the fastest list that I believe you can put together. I think outside of Geonosians, I don't think there's anything that can match me for speed.
Define.
They're still slower than you.
I was going to say, define how you're calling that. You're basically saying
So-
everything moves quickly. How? Just
So
elaborate.
everything either moves quickly, or has a large enough base that it moves great distances on shorter moves, or has the ability to spit out units further up the board. So I can, pretty much. So I can decide where I want to be at any given point. I don't have to come on the board and be aggressive. I can sit within range half and still score pretty much any of the objectives that I'd need to.
Part of the first round opportunity of scoring points in the secondaries.
Yeah, obviously with those ones, you kind of play things a little bit different. So I knew that they were going to be listed out there. They're going to be throwing more dice at me. But now I've altered the list, so I'm now fighting you at range bands as the game progresses. So I can now fight you at range 4, then 3, then 2.
I didn't see you at the Church of Pobry sermon.
Yeah, I didn't see you. I didn't see you at
What do you mean?
Mass.
At
Mass.
This is all northern. This is all northern beauty. Jeff is
So-
also a northerner, but that's
Well, I was going to say he's more northern than you, and he from Hartlepool.
yeah. We ignore them though; they're a weird part.
Yeah, fair.
Like the north of England is essentially 2 counties. Anything after that is just Scotland.
Scotland and Geordies.
Yeah, pretty much they are one and the same.
Yeah,
And I will die on that bridge.
not going to argue with that one. To be fair. Anyway,
so-
so tell us what. Yeah, keep going.
So I had to look at it and go, what can I do in terms of pace? If for any reason, on one side of the table, I'm needing to score fast. I'm needing to get there quickly. How much time or how much unit capacity am I losing to do that with having kept mostly speed 2 units? And the answer was too much. Like having to spend 3 or even 4 actions of Black Suns to score points is horrendous for action economy.
Okay,
your
that
logic
makes
and your
sense.
choices, people find
I'll
interesting.
tell you what. I was about to say. I'll tell it then. How was that? So people will be interested. Some people, not everyone, might be interested in knowing the logic field. So as you're elaborating these things, people are going, "Oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense." So are you willing to elaborate on what your list might be right now, so people can go, "Yeah, okay," because I don't think anyone's going to mess with it straight away.
It is a faster iteration of Fury Road.
There you go.
So we're at 10 acts, which is a little bit different. But I've actually been finding that being at 10 acts doesn't really make that much of a difference, because the list is reactive as opposed to proactive. I like to see where people are deploying their units before I've got to deploy anything on the table. So it's often that I'm seeing 1 to 2 units being placed before I've got to do anything.
Do you find that is not drastic change, or just a change in general to how you were playing? Just because where before you were, I'm going to dominate you, I'm going to assert myself on you, deal with me.
It was never like that before. I think I've always been like the cagiest aggro player that I've ever seen. And Andy's seen it before. Like you can go back and watch like some of my videos on how I've played Blizzard Force, and how I played Fury last year. The only reason that I won against Luke last year is because I decided to divert units away from the danger, play cagey, and run round the far side to score me final points like on breakthrough. So I've always played in a cagey manner, and now it's more just kind of like being reactive, watching what your opponents are doing, seeing where pieces are being deployed. Sure, an opponent can deploy 2 core units towards the back of the objectives. That's still 2 units.
Okay.
And it still gives me an idea of what kind of units they're going to be pushing in certain directions, and it gives me a good guess. A table, like you're looking at what percentage of the table is also being taken up within their territories. So if I see that a core unit is placed somewhere, that could potentially mean that there isn't an ATRT going there, or there isn't a bus going there, or a snail tank. So that means that I can kind of gauge where units are likely to start coming on and going at me, and that's made a huge difference in how I kind of make decisions within the game now.
David, you probably we can't reveal exactly what Ollie's doing, but do you have any particular questions that you might have for what Ollie might be doing or planning?
Well, what it sounds like is this is addressing like a really important part of the game, which is that round, or not to round, but round 1, sort of bluff and kind of gambit that you're doing against your opponent, and this idea that like if I see where things are, right, and I can shift faster than you, I can basically counteract your deployment choices, or at least like try to like create some sort of antidote, I guess, to whatever my opponent has done. And I think that's the gist that I'm picking up. Go ahead.
It also works in the reverse of that. So I can deploy heavy on one side to make it look like I'm going hard after one objective, but the list is fast enough that I can bait you into deploying as many units as you think is necessary on that side, and then just leave.
Yep.
And just decide that actually I'm going to go take the other half of the board, whittle down your units on that side, and then fight you in the middle. At which point I'll have a better footing most of the time. Obviously, it's not an exact science, dice are dice, and
Oh yeah.
and I there are times where I could come up against a list that is going to try and match me for pace, but I don't think there is one that's faster.
You're going to try to dictate the terms of the engagement, however that occurs.
Yeah, and
Is
I think
basically the gist.
the amount of people I speak to say that Shadow Collective is dead, and I think they're all so wrong.
Yeah, I don't think Shadow Collective is dead. I think they have some awkward choices to make, but I doubt they're dead.
It's just I think a lot of people have been. I've seen a lot of people throwing like Vigos and Courage 1 units, like back into the game. So I think hopefully I'll be able to kind of rein that in and go stop it.
Yeah, there's this belief right now, I think, kind of universally, that like below 11 is not viable. And I think a surprise will be that 10 and 9 actually are functional.
Yeah, and I think it's like as Brits, we've always taken lower activation. Like last year, I think I was at 9-axe into a 10-axe meta, and people were saying, "Oh, nine's quite low. You might struggle a bit on your activations."
I think if you're taking like lower activations, like 10 versus instead of the current 11 or 12, that one obviously is assuming that you're taking, it's probably because all of yours are going to impact the game. Where, like, if you look at like the droid ones that you're talking about, like obviously the B ones, they can impact the game. They're not gonna. It's very rare that one B1 unit or multiple B1s are going to win you that game by themselves. But if you're in a lower activation game, every single one of them units could win you the game in some way. Like that's why you're taking less units, right? Like
less is more,
Yeah.
supposedly.
And one of the other things, and this is what Dave from playing sort of practice games into Dave Grant has said. So the army doesn't have a centerpiece.
Yeah.
So there is no singular unit that you can kill that can alter how I play the game, really. So I will never lose any command cards. I don't lose much of the fighting force. And if I play the game that I've designed the list to play, then I shouldn't be just having units just scrapped unless I place things like an idiot.
Well, no, that's that. Is there anything else on lists and what we expect? Here's the question: no one mentioned clones. Is that because they're too expensive or not viable? What's the crack?
I think that the fact that ARF troopers aren't getting released for Worlds has probably put the shits up a lot of like several Republic players that were going to be bringing it. And so I think there's a little bit of chaos in the Republic community at the moment. I'm just trying to figure out kind of where the lists lie. Don't get me wrong, like the double secret mission is still a solid choice if you can get it off. Obviously, you'd need to.
I don't know how many people would have actually brought Jedi Knights anyway. Like,
I think that a good portion of them would have been running them as a cheap upgrade to the ARC troopers, and then taking additional core for the surges.
So, I mean, yes, that is a option for it. I think the other way you could take the captain to get defend 1.
I was about to say
it's the same points cost and actually gives you
the 2 range dice,
range 2 offensive power instead.
Absolutely. So I still think captains are there, but I feel like because of the big changes to the faction, it's going to be hard for players to get those big practice games in. You've also not got some of like the big name Republic players going,
such as
who?
I believe Mike Barry's not going, and he's been an avid Republic player for as long as I can remember.
Well, he was the one who made 501st a thing, arguably a first one who did it at a major, I should say.
While they were shit.
While everyone poo-pooed them. So yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I get what you're saying. The fact that I were I taking Republic, my original list would have had the 2 Jedi Knights in them in 2 arcs. All I need to do to go, I'm taking the same list, but I'm just taking those 2 Jedi Knights out and putting the 2 captains in. It changes my list by 2 models. and no points. That's were I to be playing. That's what my list would have done.
But it does change the play style for players who've been practicing, thinking that the ARFs are going to be in. Which considering that we're so close to the event, I feel like players might just revert back to factory settings and just go for something that's more comfortable to them. So
Is that Anakin 501st?
No, so you might see more of the of like the game I lost last weekend. They get into like Yoda Chewie.
Obi. Oh, okay.
Yoda Chewie could still potentially be in slept on.
Obi.
Obi, yeah, Obi
Triple
Commandos is
Commandos.
still a solid choice.
No, just Rex Bad Batch was with the scout. Just being able to scout Bad Batch is massive.
I think
you have so much reach. It's crazy. You have like range 5 reach at that point.
I
And
think
because you could
2-pip as well. Take that clankers.
It does kind of decide what you're playing turn 1 in terms of command cards. Like if you're running Rex Bad Batch, there is no reason you don't play the 3-pip turn 1.
Exactly.
Because and so as an opponent, you are giving away mild advantages in terms of kind of how you're reading things, in terms of where you're going to be jumping. It's also not a safe thing for Bad Batch to jump up the table all the time.
No.
If there's a Force user or if there's a decent amount of Pierce on the opposing side, so potentially you can kind of bait your opponents into wasting that command card, and you feel like you've got to do it because you've got Rex, and so you kind of just be using them turn 1 just to get a bit more in position. It's not completely wasted, but
Bad Batch into Pierce isn't exactly the worst thing in the world because they are surprisingly durable into Pierce because they have impervious.
I mean, they're just surprisingly durable. I put what was it at the weekend? It was something silly. I think I put like into clone. Sometimes clone saves just turn up. I think it was something like 78 hits past cover into clones, and I dealt. It was like 8 wounds.
Sometimes dice can be dice.
Yeah.
I was just like,
yeah, when it's got like
I play it on the soundboard.
It's got like when the saves go into like the 80s, the high 80s or something like that, you just feel terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we move on to questions from the public, to quote another podcast there, I'm going to go some one quick answers, quick fire questions from each of you, which will be questions are so. Andy, first off, most undervalued unit that you'll see at Worlds, underappreciated unit you'll see at Worlds.
That's a good question.
I like putting people on the spot for this.
Swoops.
I'm going to put it out there and say it's going to be a bounty hunter.
Okay. David, the question for you will be the most played unit that will be pants.
Aqua droids.
Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
I agree.
Ollie, I'm going to go with what do you think would be the most by players taking most successful faction? I.e., if there are only 4 Empire players, but all 4 make day 2 or get into the finals, but there are 30 Republic or 30 droids or whatever, what would be the most successful faction on wins? Thank you. I was trying to think of the way to ask the question. That's it. Win percentage, I should say.
Okay, so if we're looking at faction win percentage and what people are going to be actually taking to Worlds, if I back myself, then I feel like Shadow Collective is going to have the highest win percentage for individual games played.
Take yourself out of the equation for a second. Just go for it as from your streaming neutral.
I reckon I'll be one of 2 or one of 3 Shadow Collective players that's going to be there. Like there's going to be like next to none. Outside of that, I weirdly think that the Empire will have the best win rate compared to the amount of players.
Yep.
I think that you're going to have a lot of team kills, right? Rebels on rebels, droids on droids, that are going to knock its general win percentage down.
Okay.
Just because I think that they're going to be the 2 most popular factions. Mm-hmm. So although they may do the best, I think that Empire, if we're ignoring me, will come the best for individual win percentages.
Makes sense. So the next question is then, and then we'll start moving on to the ones into the public. So, Ollie, who do you think will place higher, you or Andy?
Me.
Andy, who do you think will place higher, you or Ollie?
Me.
Shut up.
David, who does it place higher, Ollie or Andy?
You want me to weigh in?
Oh, I want you to cast the deciding vote, my friend.
Oh no!
Can I make a suggestion?
Sorry, Andy. It's Ollie.
I was going to
what?
say you made the right choice because one of them could be more insufferable than the other if you didn't pick him.
Well, if Andy wins Worlds, which not happening, even if I don't win, you won't.
Wow,
Doesn't matter.
Wow.
I just need to be higher than you.
Well, you just need to place higher than 60 first.
Are you boys willing to put a little wager on yourselves out of who places higher?
Sure.
Go on then. What are you putting onto it?
Can I say it on the podcast?
Why? What are you thinking?
I don't know. I was going to let's offer some shots up.
Oh wow! Well, that's not really. There's no sacrifice. He cares not for those.
Well, it does when who's paying for it.
Maybe.
So I'll tell you what. If you place higher than me, I'll do a shot of vinegar.
Oh.
And if I finish higher than you, you shave an eyebrow off.
That's some stakes. I like that.
I'm gonna
To put it into perspective, the mere presence of vinegar anywhere within 5 foot of me makes me just
right. I'm going to put some context into this because there's a thing. Ollie, you are reigning champion, so you have a bit of an advantage on this. So I'm going to put a little jeopardy in this one. If Andy finishes in the top 8, but still behind you, then he has to do half an eyebrow.
Right.
Because then there's a little bit. So there's still motivation and all this sorts of stuff. So there's a little bit less jeopardy. But whereas you still do the shot of vinegar regardless of where it is, because it's just the balance of the odds, all that sort of stuff. That's what I'm thinking. So questions from the public. You all heard this, by the way. That was all made there. So
Andy, I'm going to bring the shaver with me, and prior to you arriving back to work on that Monday, on that Tuesday morning, I'll be taking my cut.
Or if he doesn't, if it's pre if he obviously doesn't make the Sunday and you do, you're both on. He's on stream on the Sundays. Just show it on the stream.
I'm going to publicly shave his eyebrow off.
Brilliant. That's something to stream.
We'll call it for charity or something, and that way you can't refuse.
I'm gonna have to consult my team to see if this is on brand for us.
Well, it's a TNM side project. It's all good.
I think we're known as probably the most mental podcast that's out there. It's generally because it's me and Andy just throwing shade at each other.
Yeah,
and me being bullied as well.
I was going to say you should have him bleach his eyebrows, not shave them off.
Oh no, well that's bleaching. He could just turn them back. Eyebrow is commitment to the cause.
Well, that's fair.
And if if he's so confident, then he shouldn't mind taking it.
We all heard him say yes.
And vinegar to me is honestly the devil's juices. I hate it.
Right. So we've answered the question here. So the first question I had from the set of questions I had from the Reverend Podfrey was who will finish higher, Andy or Ollie. So we've done that one. So why do you think numbers are down? We've done that. Why do you think numbers are down? So to covered that. So yeah, Jeff, there's your questions answered, my friend. Baz Mataz says, one question if you have time, and I haven't read this. So, as AMG will release the remaining updates at Adepticon, which units that haven't yet been touched are you guys hoping will be redone? And he goes on to say, if no one says Empire Bomber, he'll cry. So can I just have one unit from you each on that? And Ollie, since you pressed the hand, go for it.
Black Suns.
You want Black Suns to be... Oh, God. Okay.
So, I think that Black Suns need to get the new shotgun rules.
Melee shotgun, yeah.
Yeah, like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like everybody else does. I don't think you should give them charge, but I think you should give them a boost.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Black Suns deserve a touch up, considering Shadow Collective got absolutely nothing in this update other than making the bus worse.
David, your choice.
Staff Riders.
Okay.
I like to see them redone. I think they're the most neglected CIS unit. That or Sunfac, if I can choose two.
Yeah. Well, two. You had to choose one though of those two.
Okay, Snap Riders.
Cool. Why? Why briefly? Why on that one?
Oh, just because they're kind of like they were designed under an era where you could direct at infinite range, and it doesn't exist anymore. And they went up to 80 points each. So now, like, am I really gonna pay 90 points for an uplink stab right now? No way.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's
And
fine.
so
Cover
there's
rules
no
as
point.
well, for a
So-
reason.
Side note for a general update, not specific to faction. I think that all bikes should get a 5-point increase, but should gain low profile.
That's an
I
interesting.
don't think they
concept.
even need the points increase to gain that.
But
Yeah,
No, they don't.
especially parks.
Because you're blocking 1 out of 6 into a unit. I don't think it's very good. But I do think that they need a low profile or something like that, because they're incredibly fast. And like I think you should just bring cover back for vehicles, because you can see the front end of my bumper, and yet there is no negligible effects to that.
That's, I think, something we can hopefully explore post the update. Andy, and to yourself.
Can I say bounty hunters as a catch-all?
Yep, go on then, and why?
Because I love them. Like, all of them are amazing characters that we like want to put on the table, and I've always done well with bounty hunters as well. So they're just kind of been a little bit left behind. I think they just need a few. I don't know what he's doing. I don't think it's just points. Maybe just a something better.
I think that with bounty hunters, there shouldn't be a limit on the amount of bounties that you can place on the other side. I think that a bounty hunter's bounty should be, if you kill a character, you gain a victory point.
I think bounty being unlimited. So if your opponent brings 4 characters and you kill all 4, I'd be.
Then you score 4 points, because that actually gives them a little bit of jeopardy. It encourages them to move forward and try and target it. And with backup as well. Now bounty hunters are awful.
Or bounty ignores backup. Like that would
say
be
bounty
also
ignores backup would be a good rule to just chuck that in there.
yeah.
But
So I think they just need a few things like that.
Yeah, I think unlimited bounty would be good. But I also think potentially adding potential scope for bounty hunters to have like higher scoring targets. So for instance,
Like, for commander, 1 point for an operative.
No, I'd say
I'm
2
think-
for a
I'm-
unique, 1 for like a generic officer. Like,
Okay.
yeah, or you have it as like canon events. So if Boba kills Han, he scores 2 points. Any other character, it's 1. If Cad Bane kills Anakin or Obi-Wan, then he scores 2 points. But anything else is 1.
So
And
it's tied to the character.
Yeah, so it's tied to character specifics.
It's a very interesting concept.
I don't think it will be a concept, but I think it would be
No, I like it.
an interesting one, because it would give you a reason. If Rebels are doing really well, and you see in more Han on the table, you'll see lists start to take a few more Bobas to try and score the points, and it'll keep the meta evolving on its own, having rules like that, which is obviously what we want as a game system, rather than the meta's this, nothing can beat it. Where's the points update?
I think that'd be really cool in general, but also I think that'd be a really cool thing if someone like, I don't know, an event organizer might did it as their bounty sheet. I don't know, might one. I don't know.
I already do bounties.
Yeah, you can add one on there. So if you have someone has Bob and they kill Han, or Han conversely avoids being killed by Bob, then there you go. Done. That's cool. Anyway, so that's that questions there. So the next ones I have are from Dave Grant. Sorry,
don't you mean other?
Well, if you say so, that's how it was taken. That's not what it was intended. Okay, so we've done a couple of things. He says, can you rank the 5 UK attendees in terms of from highest to finish? So. Just Ollie, do your ranking, then Andy, do your ranking. David, I don't expect you to know who all the UK players going, but This is just a bit of fun because it's one of the questions that Dave asked.
So me, Jeff, Dave, Andy, Kev.
Okay, Andy.
Jeff.
Sorry,
Dave,
Jeff
me,
top.
Yeah, Jeff.
How are you putting me fourth in that list? you genuine moron.
I love it. That's quite funny.
I even want to put Kev above you, but I don't unfortunately have much faith in
Honestly,
Kev.
mate, I'm gonna batter that eyebrow off you. Oh, I can't express.
Okay.
Like,
I'll
would you-
save. I'll save Dave one of Dave's questions for the end. Anything else? So, where notes? Nav said, considering a heat system, is it worth continuing if one heat is lopsided, and you're practically going to go through versus an actual challenge? So, for context, the point of his question is, the heat one is that full 64, and then heat two has
It's not full. No, it's not full at all.
Heat one. I mean, based on signups at the moment, I've honestly got no idea how it's looking.
Currently, Heat 1 has, I've got it open, 71 out of 128, and I think there was like 80 tickets sold, where Heat 2 is 40 out of 128, and I think there was like 60 sold.
There wasn't. There was like 42 tickets sold for Heat 2.
So, what are the consequences of such a lopsided heat on 1 and 2, please?
So the only real answer to this is to request a couple of players to move from Heat 1 to 2. If you allow players to double dip, you take away any of the sanctity of the competitiveness of Worlds, and it would be. I would see it as a joke. If you allow people to double dip. But yeah, if you ask 20 players nicely, or you send out an email saying, "Would anybody mind swapping to Heat 2?" then fantastic. You get a few players across. That is the only way that we fix the lopsidedness at the moment. Right, and sorry, I'll rephrase that. That is the only way we fix the lopsidedness, and you appease the players.
What they need to do, if they're going to continue with heats, is in the documentation, have it state from day one that the cut is weight biased. So if you do have one heat weight more than the other, then it offers more positions than a fixed 32 number. Makes it weird and complicated.
Percentages, yeah.
If you've got 70% of your players turning up for one heat, then you should have 70% of your invites available for that heat, because it's the same like weightage. Or you have it slightly more biased, so maybe 60% instead of 50-50. Like,
I don't think that makes sense at all. I think that what you do is you change it to a combined tournament. So if the numbers aren't reached at a certain point, the EO will announce that it has become like they're re-merging and it's becoming one tournament, and you play that over. Even if you just like move it to the Friday and you just change it to 4 rounds, because I think at this point you'd probably get 32 if you combined all of the players and just did 4 rounds on the Friday.
But they're having 64, aren't they, for Saturday?
Right. Well, you'd absolutely get that if you just combined everybody together then. Because at that point, for instance, say you get like the top. I know it wouldn't have like this, but say you get like the top 25 players in the world playing on the Saturday, and you get loads and loads of newer players playing on the Heat 1. How is that fair on the players who can't get time off work or have families or all these other kind of things and can't commit to the Thursday?
I think that's the risk that a sign-up option provides. It's kind of like them's the things. But I think.
But if it's invite, you'd have a better idea of how many people had won the tickets, and you can base a tournament structure based on how many people. Like, even if you do it at 60% of total invites awarded, you can still base a tournament on that selection.
I would respectfully think Andy's way is the better idea, just in terms of percentage. If you say you have 64 places available for the next round, and you have 70% players play on that, and 30%, then 30% of the 64 should go to that bit, and 60% of the 70% should go on the other, because that gives the fair opportunity for whoever is playing. I think that's just that's
yeah,
because you can't say 48.
It's a weird one, and I honestly feel for Hank and Josh.
Yep, 100%.
Trying to navigate the minefield that this is that it's going to be this year.
I mean,
yeah, I think like right now the only option is to get players to switch.
last year's issue was you had to go undefeated on day one, and everyone complained about it. This year's complaint is obviously heat structure. Like they're trying to appease us by giving us more games, which is what they've done, by giving us the heats and to accommodate more players, which is fantastic that they're listening, and they're just going through learning pains. Like obviously they're trying to try something new.
Agree,
I think
agree.
it can work. It's just I don't. Did LVO 1 year do heats or something? I do remember another event, a fairly big one, did heats before as well. But I think that did like an equal sellout near enough. Like it was fairly close enough that it didn't really matter.
It might have been an LVO. Yeah, I think it might have been an LVO.
But I don't think it was lopsided, and that's where the issues arise when you've got lopsided heats.
Yeah, I'm also in the percentage based camp, and I think that's what Josh intimated that they would do over Discord, but I'm not sure exactly. I cannot hold him to that. That is hearsay.
Yeah. I feel like at this point, though, as much as I'd like that to happen, I think because the documentation and everything has already been published and people have purchased their tickets based on the knowledge that it was going to be like the top 32 from each day progressing, I don't like the idea of it changing now. Even though I would prefer it because I'm in the bigger of the two heats. Like I've got biased. I don't think it's the right thing to do at the same time.
It's a hard one. I think you're completely right. The teething and the foot finding of it all, that's where we're at. And eventually we'll land on something that'll be fine. But as we're all nerds, we'll find a way to pick apart something and
we'll complain
and
every
tear
year,
it
don't
down. No one's ever happy. And so it is. That's it really for the questions from the public. Really, there was only a few because we've covered.
Oh, you missed the best one.
Oh, sorry, I forgot that. Yeah. So what you're referring to the karaoke one?
No. I thought
one have I missed?
My favourite one from Dave was. And I think
sorry,
David can answer this as well. So, given the seeming lack of international guests this year, is the World Team Championships now more of a Worlds than Worlds itself?
Oh boy, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I have to say it's more of an international event. It's definitely more Eurocentric. But I do think that, like, in terms of overall representation, I think that you're gonna have a much more varied, a much more diverse set of players than you're gonna get this year. And I mean, I don't know if that's fortunate or unfortunate. If whatever it's worth, that's the truth. I think.
Is Canada at WTC this year? Did Timbo pull his finger out and get a team sorted?
I actually don't know. I haven't asked him.
Canada.
We're busy still getting our house in order for our three to go over.
Because I remember him talking about it at Worlds last year, saying that he wanted to do like Jesse from last year. Is Trent Canadian?
No.
Is Trent Hale?
No, he's Indiana.
Indiana, cool. So yeah, you got Jesse, you've got Timbo. Apologies to the other Canadian players. I'm sure I've met you, but I can't remember your names.
Who did I play on stream?
Dean Tran.
Dean.
He just plays unlimited now, doesn't he?
Oh, does he?
Yeah, he's. I always see him posting stuff like Star City games.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's a good player as well.
No, there's probably a few closet Canadians kicking around somewhere.
Closet Canadians, what a statement!
Well, it's just we know that they are Canadians, but we don't know it, so therefore we just assume North American and go because we're ignorant otherwise, that sort of thing. But no, that would be nice to see. In the same way, we want to see a Australian team. We could then unite the empire. I don't know. But no, yeah. So his World Team Championship, the more truer Worlds. I think yes, it's a more representative Worlds next in May, if that makes sense. So that'd be cool. Which will be coming to you live when we stream it. So that's all good. That'd be fun.
That's in May, right? Late May.
End of May.
If you guys are coming along, do try and stay over the extra week because it is a UK Games Expo.
Yeah,
the weekend after, I believe.
So you can
first GT of the 2025 season in the world.
Ooh, look at that. There you go. So that'll be fun. And again, Ollie doing social for it. And if you are purely down for social happenings and you can't say you're coming you want to come abroad with your friends and stuff like that, come hang out because Ollie definitely has something planned.
Oh yeah, I've got a big karaoke night planned for the States, and I've got the wildest karaoke night planned for the WTC.
Which leads on to the last question then. What's the karaoke songs we're all going for?
Well, it's got to be America by Razorlight.
Are you going, uh-oh, Panic in America?
Andy will inevitably do something he shouldn't.
I was going to do Limp Bizkit, Break Stuff.
Okay, well that's good. That's good. There's nothing in there that can get you arrested.
Yeah.
David, if you were to do a karaoke song, what would your choice be?
Oh, shoot. I just have the name on the tip of my tongue.
Sing it.
No, I know what it is.
Pink Pony Club, Chapel Roan.
No, I'm not going to do Pink Pony Club.
Endless Love.
Not Endless Love. I know what it is. It's Tom Petty. It's Tom Petty. It's Last Dance with Mary Jane.
Okay.
That's the one.
Tom Petty's cool. Yeah, that's fine.
I like that one.
Cool. Well, we can expect many things. The boys will be what they should be doing. Hopefully, they will be remembering to take pictures of everything that they do and people they play and put it on there. No, just please do because
I'm going to tell you right now, there is a 0% chance of me remembering.
Just take some pictures. Send them to me. I'll bloody post them. That's all you need to do.
I usually take a selfie at the end of day one. Letting people know it's gone, and usually see Andy crying in the background somewhere.
No, only last year. I keep winding him up about that. It's not fair anymore. Cool. Right. So this has been your world's preview show. Hopefully, if you're not going, this has given you a good idea of what to expect. Obviously, there'll be a collaborative effort going on with the old streaming, led by David, who will be leading the comms. With then these two Muppets will be joining on any given day. The fact if you hear Ollie, if you hear either of them on the Sunday, they failed miserably. But if you hear Ollie, you know he's got to do a shot of vinegar. So that's what's going to happen. Obviously, Zane will be doing it as well, so it'd be good to hear from Zane and that. But is John Bushman playing this year? Just out of interest?
He is not going.
Dang!
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because maybe he's playing Twilight Imperium again, because that was an immense game I saw. So it's cool. But yes, this has been That's No Moon. David, if people want to follow you, your own pod and all this sorts of stuff, where can they do so, please?
So the best place to go is wintermoonwargaming.substack.com, because that is where all of our audio and written content can be found in one place. If you want video versions of the podcast, youtube.com @wintermoonwargaming. That is where you can find all the streams that are being scheduled for Worlds, and you'll be able to find some of our video podcasts as well. We do it in audio and video, just like y'all. And then we also have an Instagram, wintermoon_wargaming. On Instagram, we have Facebook, Wintermoon Wargaming, all one word. And if you am I good to plug coffee? We have a little coffee shop as well. So we have it's ko-fi.com/wintermoonwargaming/shop. We have an STL there for a point of interest token if you're so inclined to pick that up.
Yep, cool.
But that's where you can find us at Wintermoon Wargaming.
And when you have these two next to you, which particular English phrases are you looking forward to learning?
Which particular? Oh, I don't know.
Is there a northern phrase you'd like to hear from Ollie, or is there a particular southern phrase you might want to hear from Webfeet over here?
I don't know, man. I'm just looking forward to singing depressing Smiths songs at karaoke too.
Oh, not the Smiths, man. No.
No, you don't like Morrissey and Andy Marr?
No.
Johnny Marr. I mean,
like
we are booking that entire venue. So if you don't like it, just go to another room.
My dad is a huge Morrissey fan, and I've just
you've been growing up on it, yeah.
Tortured with that, and I'm lucky I haven't slit my wrists growing up.
I like Johnny Marr better than Morrissey, so there you go. Yeah.
Cool. Ollie, what about yourself? If people want to contact you, ask you stuff, where will you be and how can I do it?
Just don't.
Okay.
No, you can catch me on Discord at CBT3-That's No Moon. On WhatsApp, if you've got my number, albeit I've got 150 unread messages, so if I've not replied to you, it will happen. It just takes time. You're better catching me on Discord at this point, or you can message the That's No Moon Facebook page, and I'll respond on there. Or Ollie at that'snomoonpodcast.com.
He's actually remembered it. Christ.
It's only taken me over a year.
Yeah, taking you ages. Andy, same
God
question
be
to
praised.
yourself. Yeah. Andy, same to yourself.
yeah, so you can grab me on Facebook, Andrew Terrell, or on Discord as AJST.
You can also find him outside any dog shelter in Peterborough trying to find his next meal.
Or you can find us, obviously, Andy at that'smoonpodcast.com.
That's the one. And then I'd be Cockles, same Cockles at That's No Moon Podcast, Cockles Falcon on Discord and or Facebook, Twitter, all that sort of stuff. So final words, really. If you're going to Worlds, all the best. Unless you're called Andy and Ollie. That's fine. All the best to you all.
Back to you, Andy.
Back to you, Ollie. I look forward to hearing all the stories from everybody. I look forward to the stream. I look forward to all. And regardless of who wins, if it's Ollie again or if it's Andy or whoever it is, I look forward to having a conversation with you post this. And good luck to all. Enjoy the event. Have a good one. Goodbye. You've been listening to That's No Moon, a Star Wars Legion podcast. To keep up to date with us, please like and follow us on Facebook, That's No Moon, a Star Wars Legion podcast, and Instagram, That's No Moon Podcast.